Hello everybody, was checking out the old YouTubes thinking that somebody would have a really cool pinning video on there. There were a couple that touched on some stuff, but nothing that quite got the points home that I wanted to. So I got the little lady here behind the lens and she's helping me record this for you. So some of you went ahead and got some insect pins off the internet. If you get insect pins, number 2 is probably the way to go. It's usually not too thin so that it's bending, and it's not so thick that it's crushing your bugs. I know a couple of you went smaller, got size 0. Those are going to be a little bit easier to bend, but they're also going to be easier to get through soft-bodied bugs. It may be a little harder to get through the hard ones, but some of you are using sewing pins, some of you are using T-pins, which are really thick, so make sure that you're only putting those through big bugs, and check out the PowerPoint on pinning from last time that talks about pointing for small stuff. You actually put a little piece of paper on the pin and glue that to the tiny bugs so that you're not squishing them. So I wanted to show you this just real quick. I figure most of you probably have access to a pizza box. If you have a styrofoam takeout food container, that works really well too. Just a styrofoam block, you'll notice, is what they're using in a couple of those videos that I linked for you. Like any good entomologist, I had some insect pins on the dash of my truck, and I had some bugs in the freezer that I hadn't had a chance to pin. So these have been, these are some wood wasps, some Cyrex wood wasps that I actually got from a guy that raises them. This is a canopid wasp mimic fly. This is what an antlion turns into. That's a doodlebug in the Neuroptera order. This is a big old Eastern Hercules beetle from the order Coleoptera. And believe it or not, that is a giant mosquito right there that I managed to save. And I think I actually swatted that thing and it was still alive. And then I put it in the freezer. When you take your insects out of the freezer, don't take them out and leave them in the jar or the Ziploc bag or anything for very long, because you're going to get condensation. You can see condensation's already starting to build on this jar a little bit here, and that will rot your bugs. So if you're keeping them in the freezer instead of in alcohol, make sure that you pin them pretty much at right after they thaw out, so that then they will dry out in that position and not rot on you. So now I'm going to take my pin, and I'm just going to start off with one of these wood wasps, and I'm looking for the thorax. Remember, I'm kind of looking for the mesothorax, the middle of the middle on this thing, and I think it's easiest just to grasp it between my fingers, and then I'm going to push that pin right down through that thorax, and notice how I've left it up towards the top of the pin. I've left enough pin on top to grab, but I also don't have it way down here on the pin. So what a lot of students want to do is they want to pin their stuff down. I'll give you an example on this other wasp, but what I see a lot of in lab is students don't really want to touch their bugs, so they leave it down here and then they stick their pin through it, which that works, all right? But if you're doing it on a hard surface, you're going to have that much pin still above your bug. The answer to that is the pizza box or the styrofoam, and what that's going to allow you to do is push that pin all the way down through, and then you can even leave your bug like that and let it dry, but then once you pick it up for your collection and you stick it in, it's going to be hovering above the bottom of the container there. Just show you one more on here, and that's all there is to it. That thing is pinned. It will stay nice as long as it doesn't get wet or blow away or have other bugs come and munch on it. That one will be good to go. I'll go ahead and see if I can get a pin through this big old beetle elytra here for you. With beetles, you're going to be going to the right of the midline so that you're not splitting that up. Notice how I'm kind of wiggling that pin around almost like a drill to be able to get it to go through those tough spots, and then push that right on through, and now I've got that on the pin. Notice it's a little bit crooked. The pin's coming through like that. I can actually come back, pull that pin back out, and without too much trouble, usually you can readjust that pin to go back down through. That helped out a little bit, not a lot, but you kind of get the idea. One shot isn't the only shot most cases unless it's a really small or delicate critter. So I hope that helps some of y'all out with your pinning. Put those pizza boxes to work, get those pins out and get those specimens together. There's no deadline for having stuff pinned for this week, but for next week I'm going to want 10 of those things pinned. So hope you're having a good time getting this accomplished, and I will see y'all later. Peace.